The movie begins with Laura, a travel journalist who's just finished publishing a great exposé article about a company that's been stealing charity funds from starving children. While working on her computer, Laura gets an invitation from a Linsgard Foundation. Laura goes to her boss who wants her to cover the story about the corruption in a football organization, but Laura tells her about the invitation she got from Anne. She's the Norwegian shipping heiress who got a stage for leukemia. Her husband has set up a foundation in her name to raise funds from other billionaires on his cruise ship to a fundraising gala in Norway, so they want her to come and create awareness about the program. Laura's boss doesn't want her to go to the charity event since she wants her to cover a more serious story, but Laura insists that this is a story she likes to dive in. The next day, Laura is welcomed on board to the Aurora Borealis by the stewards, including some other billionaires who's made it to the boat. Laura is told to take off her shoes as part of the policy of the boat, as she would be offered a new one. After she's done, the chief steward tells her cabin number. On the other side is Ben, Laura's ex-boyfriend, taking pictures of everyone on board. Afterwards, everyone is taken to their respective cabins. Laura goes out to enjoy the view when someone from the other cabin starts to throw cigarettes end on her side of the cabin. She picks them up and trashes it. Later, everyone is called to the cabin by the host of the charity event, Mr. Richard. He starts his speech by welcoming everyone on board and giving them a monologue on the cause of the charity. Everyone is eager to see Anne, but Richard says she's not feeling too well to come out, so he proposes that everyone should relax and tomorrow they would get to see her. During that moment, one of the billionaire guests known as Tommy arrives with his boat. Mr. Richard then quickly introduces himself to Laura before going to join the others to greet Tommy. Laura prepares for the event that evening, and on the cabin walkway, she hears Ben talking to one of the guests and approaching her, so to avoid them she enters cabin 10 and stumbles upon a lady there. Laura immediately apologizes, but the lady simply walks away. After the dinner, Laura is taken to a library in the yacht and told to wait, that Mrs. Anne would soon join her. Laura uses the opportunity to look through some of the books. When Mrs. Anne finally arrives, she tells Laura that she's a great fan of her work and that's why she wanted her on the boat to share her story. Suddenly she starts coughing and Laura asks if she can call the doctor, but the lady says no. She tells her that she's stopped her medication because it's beginning to take a toll on her. Anne brings out a note from her drawer which contains her speech for the gala, as she wants Laura to go over it and give her opinion about it. While reading the note, Laura learns that she's giving away all her fortune and asks why she wants to do that. Anne tells her she wants the money and the foundation of the company to be handed over to people who are far kinder and smarter than she and her husband were. Getting tired, Anne says they would continue the conversation tomorrow and puts away the note. Laura heads back to her cabin where she meets Ben and they start to reminisce about their time together. Then she goes to sleep. In the middle of the night at around 1 a.m. in the morning, Laura wakes up to a nightmare about an incident where a lady was drowning. She hears some noise coming from the next cabin and goes out to listen carefully. That's when she hears someone thrown overboard. She looks on the demarcating glass wall and finds a bloody hand imprint, so she immediately calls the stewards to report that someone has gone overboard. The captain and his crew immediately sprung into action as they all search the water for a potential drowning person. After some minutes of finding nothing, Laura is called to explain what she saw. Laura explains that she didn't see the person's face clearly but was sure someone jumped or was thrown into the water from cabin 10. After making sure that everyone on board the Borealis is accounted for, the captain tells Laura that cabin 10, the room next to her, has always been empty. The guest that was supposed to occupy the cabin cancelled it 2 days before the journey. Laura then recalls that there was blood on the glass wall and proceeds to show them the wall, but there's nothing. To prove that she isn't making things up, Laura takes them to the waste bin where she threw the cigarettes that came from the cabin but finds that the container has been emptied. With this, everyone thinks maybe she's just making things up, so the captain calls off the search crew and tells everyone to go back to their sleep. The next morning, Laura meets with Richard and tells him she wants to see the faces of all the female crews and make sure all of them are accounted for. After looking through all of them, Laura can't find the lady she met at the cabin 10 last night and goes to the library where she meets Anne so they can continue their conversation from last night. Anne tells her that she isn't feeling too well and has taken a lot of drugs to suppress the pains. That's when Laura realizes that something's wrong because Anne of yesterday told her that she has stopped her medications. Laura meets with Ben to confide in him and explain that she saw a lady in that cabin yesterday but haven't seen her ever since. Laura then asks to see all the photographs he's taken of the guest. After looking through all the pictures, Laura doesn't find the one she was looking for, but when she scrolls through some images from months ago, she finds the lady she saw at the cabin 10 and points it out to Ben. Laura takes the photograph to Richard, saying that's the image of the lady she found in cabin 10 yesterday night. Richard looks at her in confusion and tells her he doesn't know the lady. The doctor then reminds Laura that it seems like she's suffering from the traumatic experience of one of a witness that drowned and might be associating it with the event last night. Richard then says he would help to search for the lady she's looking for, but first he has prepared something that would help her to relax for the meantime. After the spa, Laura sees a shadow walk past her, and when she checks, someone has written "stop" on the glass. Laura goes out to look for the person, but it's too late, the person has disappeared. Seeing the CCTV camera, Laura goes to meet the captain to ask for the CCTV footage for the spa room, but the captain explains that the cameras are turned off in such locations for privacy purposes. Following this, Laura goes back to her room and looks through her cabin to the other room to see if anyone's there. Once Laura confirms that she's the only one, she risks her life and crosses over to the cabin 10. She looks through the sink and finds some strands of the lady's hair. She goes to tell Ben about it, just to prove that she's sure about what she saw that night. Ben explains that he understands her points, but they still have 36 hours before they dock, and if Richard doesn't find the girl on the picture before then, he would go with her to the police station to report a missing person, but for now she has to be careful because the people she's dealing with are not just some of the richest people on the planet but also dangerous. Following Ben's advice, Laura hides the woman's hair beneath her own sink and goes to join the guests for lunch. Laura spends her time keeping a close eye on Richard and Anne. In the afternoon, when all the guests has gone to see some pot of whales, Laura takes the opportunity and goes to the staff ward to show the staff the picture of the lady she met in cabin 10 to see if any one of them could have seen, but none of them could recall attending to the lady. On her way out, she stumbles upon the doctor, who's wondering why she didn't join the others. Laura lies about her true intentions and the doctor tells her to enjoy the peace while it lasts, leaving Laura confused. She rushes back to her cabin to see if anything's missing and finds an ankle button on the floor and immediately puts it alongside the hair as evidence. The rest of the crew returns and Laura goes to the deck to watch Ben take pictures of one of the guests. Once they leave and no one is there, a hand from behind pushes Laura into the pool on the yacht and closes the hatch. Laura is seen struggling for her life when some of the guests finds her drowning and she's rescued. When she's asked what happened to her, Laura tells everyone that someone deliberately pushed her. Someone on board wants to silence her. No one still believes her. That's when she noticed the DRS ankle button missing and realizes that he's the one in her room. She goes to check the evidence she's accumulated where she put them, but finds the clothes missing. They tell her that the clothes has been moved to the laundry room and she immediately rushes there to search her clothes but finds the lady's hair and the ankle button missing. Laura thinks it's Ben that's been sabotaging her findings and tells him to stay away from her. Ben pleads that he would never do that, but recalls telling Richard and the others that she had some evidence to prove her point so they won't think she's crazy, since he only wanted to help, but Laura tells him she doesn't need her help. One of the guests is now afraid that something bad would happen and he might get caught in the middle of the chaos, as he thinks Laura tried to drown herself, so he decides to leave the boat. Laura joins the other guests and suspects the one that left to be the one that pushed her, but she's told that wasn't the case, rather the man was scared of her and what she might do, and that's why he left. And to be frank, most of them on board are tired of her claims because she seems to be the only one seeing things. While thinking of what to do next, Laura hears someone knocking on her door, so she grabs a bottle to defend herself. When she opens the door, the person runs down to the engine room. She follows the person, and when the lights flicker she finds the lady she met inside the cabin 10. The lady tells her that now she's seen that she's alive she should stop searching for who's not missing, as she doesn't know the kind of danger she's putting herself. As they start to argue, Laura pulls off her hoodie and is shocked to discover it's an all along. Now that her cover's blown, and pushes Laura to knock her out. Few minutes later, Laura wakes up locked up inside a storage room. That's when she starts to piece everything together. The lady comes to visit her and Laura tells her that she knows she's not Anne because she didn't know that Anne has stopped taking her medications, and she also forgot their appointment to talk the next day and can tell that it was the real and that went overboard ever since she's been pretending to be Anne. The lady then says it was never part of the plan. After piecing the event that took place that night, Laura realizes that Richard found out that Anne was disinheriting him. A flashback shows what happened on that night. The lady reveals that all Richard told her to was pretend to be Anne for just one day. A software that one of Richard's friend created, which has the capability of using facial recognition to find someone's doppelganger, was used and they found her. Her face matched that of Anne, so Richard came to pick her up and offers her a huge amount of money to pretend to be Anne just for one day. Because the money he offered was so huge, she had to leave her daughter alone back at home to do the job. The real Anne found them kissing in the cabin. She was so shocked at what she saw that she wanted to run out to tell everyone, but was stopped by Richard. A fight ensues and Richard pushes her against a furniture where she hits her head and collapses. To cover up everything, Richard throws the body into the ocean and cleans off the blood from the demacating glass. The lady then tells Laura that Carrie is her real name. Laura explains to Carrie that at this point they need to work together because Richard would obviously kill her once she signs those documents to cover any loose end, but the lady refuses to listen and locks the room. Ben goes to check up on Laura but finds the doctor leaving the room, and he tells Ben that he shouldn't disturb Laura and lies that she's having a deep rest. Meanwhile, Richard and the doctor are discussing about Laura's sudden disappearance when Richard tells the doctor that when he finds Laura he should get rid of her. The doctor appears to know the plan Richard had for Anne and tells Richard that he didn't plan to add another victim, but Richard blackmails him that if he doesn't do as he's told he would expose his corrupt practices that has caused the life of several women. Meanwhile, Carrie is hiding around the corner overhearing their conversation. Later that night, Carrie sneaks out of the bed to meet Laura, where she locked her up to tell her everything she's heard and wants to go on with signing the documents so Richard won't kill her. Laura says that Richard would obviously kill her after she signs the documents, so they need to work together. Laura asks her how long would it take for the boat to get to the dock, and Carrie says it's about 2 hours. Carrie then concludes that when she's leaving she would make sure to leave the door open so Laura can escape when the boat docks. The Aurora Borealis finally arrives at its destination and Richard and the doctor haven't found Laura yet. Ben is getting worried that he hasn't seen Laura for a day now and decides to go back to the yacht to look for her. Meanwhile, Laura has made it out of the storage room and goes to the library to take Anne's note. She makes her way to the control room, where she's found by the doctor who's holding a syringe which he intends to inject her with. As she tries to run, her way is blocked by the captain, so she follows another route to escape, but unfortunately she's soon cornered on both sides. Laura tries to fight her way through, but she's captured and pinned down by the boat's captain. As the doctor is about to give Laura the injection, Ben comes to the rescue. Unfortunately, Ben is injected with the syringe, which turns out to be a poison, and he collapses dead on the floor. Laura manages to find an opening and runs out of the passage and jumps into the water. Later, Carrie is seen with a group of lawyers, including Richard, signing the documents that allows Richard to have all of Anne's money instead of being transferred into a charity account just like the real Anne wanted. On the other hand, Laura swims her way out of the water to where she finds a cabin and makes a fireplace to keep her body warm. Meanwhile, the doctor tells Richard that Ben is dead and thinks Laura too is dead, since there's no way she could survive the coldness of the water. Richard then tells him that after the gala event he should get rid of Carrie. Laura makes her way to the gala event, where she's spotted by Anne's personal security. She's about to call for backup when Laura begs her to stop, revealing to her that Richard killed the real Anne and gives her the note the real Anne showed her the day the security brought her to Anne, telling the security lady to give her the opportunity to prove that she's telling the truth. At the gala event, Richard is giving a monologue when Laura walks up to the podium to take the mic from him. Richard tries to stop her from reading the note and calls the security on her, but Laura tells Carrie to tell the security to back off because she represents Anne and Anne has more superiority than Richard. Following Carrie's orders, the security backs off and Laura is allowed to read what's on the note. According to what's written, the company and its foundation is liquefied and all the money and resources the shipping company has acquired over the years should go to charity. Richard couldn't bear the embarrassment and shame, so he starts to tell everyone that Carrie isn't the real Anne. Laura then asks him to tell everyone where the real Anne is. That's when he grabs a knife and holds Carrie hostage, telling everyone to back off or he'd slit her throat. The head of security quickly rushes to a storage unit where she brings out a rifle. She finds an opening and shoots Richard in the arm, but he still manages to hold Carrie hostage, so Laura rushes to hit him with an iron bar and he collapses dead on the floor. On the news, Anne's foundation has the biggest money donation for a cancer research and treatment, while the doctor and the captain of the Aurora Borealis cruise boat are arrested and facing trial for being an accomplice in the murder of Anne and Ben. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video and would love to see more from this channel, please like and subscribe.